Welcome to Neuro Stories, the podcast that highlights the people behind neuroscience at the Walton Centre. Together, we will lift the lid on the complex worlds of neurology and neurosurgery and everything in between, hearing fascinating tales of the incredible staff and services carried out in the hospital every day. Good morning. Hi.
Would you like a tea or?
I am Caroline Finnegan and I'm the Service Manager in Neurophysiology.
When was the first time that you started looking at the NHS, at the Walton Centre, heading to that career in neurophysiology?
So it was quite some time ago now. It was 37 years ago. My story is one that, I'll be honest, I fell into the career. It wasn't that I was in school thinking I would love to work in neurophysiology. It was really because I was heading off to university. I was heading off to do a degree, and I didn't get the grades that I needed, and I had to start looking around me at what else was out there. And I got myself a job at the pharmacy at Walton Hospital.
Where were you headed?
Pharmacy degree, and that's where I was planning, and it just didn't turn out for me. I look back at that actually now as a real pivotal moment for me, really, because my greatest failure ended up being my greatest success in a way, in the sense that I would not have fallen into this career which I love dearly, and would not have taken this path. So it's great to think back at those times, because at that moment it felt terrible.
Of course, you think you've had to settle for something that you weren't aiming for.
Absolutely.
So what was your first experience of neurophysiology then?
So there was a small department at Walton Hospital, a neurophysiology department there, and they were looking for a student. It was suggested to me that maybe I should go and have a look, and I did. And there was this whole world there that I had no idea of, and it was interesting. And I spoke to Joan Thomas, who was the manager there. And I thought, wow, this is interesting. Joan had been in the career for quite some time. Now, looking back, I thought she was really old. She was probably 40. And I thought, wow, imagine being in a job that length of time. There must be something in that that's kept her in that job. And, here I am, 15 years older than I thought Joan was, and it's kept me in it. I was fortunate enough to be appointed, and I guess the rest is history. But it was just a small department offering everything I needed at that moment in terms of a training program. There was no degree. This is 1987, and we've come really quite far since, but in those days we were doing a HNC in medical physics, and off I set on my journey, and I've never looked back. And
tell me about neurophysiology.
So neurophysiology is a healthcare science profession. We're a diagnostic service. I'm fortunate enough here to be offering the whole diverse range of neurophysiology, and that's what attracted me to the Walton Centre after I qualified from Walton 3 years later, was that if we're going to be doing neurophysiology, it's going to be in just one of a few centres across the UK. Here we're offering the full range from routine diagnostic work right through to very complex. So an outpatient service primarily focused around epilepsy and the diagnosis of epilepsy, right through to patients who may be being considered for the pre-surgical evaluation programme for epilepsy, which is a complex invasive procedure. And in addition to that, we're seeing patients who will be coming through our door for a whole range of investigations on nerve and muscle disorders as well. Intraoperative monitoring, where we're working very closely with the surgeon to preserve function and minimise post-operative death.
It's wide-ranging, but not very well known,
no,
I would say, is it?
Yeah, so for all of the healthcare sciences, I think neurophysiology is considered one of the smaller ones. So alongside our colleagues in cardiology and respiratory, they're working in much bigger services. So often little known, and in some of the big DGHs maybe swamped by the other professions almost. But I think here at the Walton Centre, we've worked hard to keep our profile good and live and active, and also good links with other services. So I think we're probably more known than we would be in some of the other hospitals.
Completely. And from my experience of walking around the trust as well, I always know where neurophysiology has reached or touched, because you'll see patients with electrodes on their
Yeah.
heads. They've got a little pack maybe that they're carrying with them, which means that you're gathering that data on their brain function and the brain waves that are coming from their brain.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what's particularly interesting about neurophysiology is we've always got to be one step ahead of the curve in terms of technology. So always looking ahead of what's coming out next to work right and well for the service delivery. Thinking back to 1987, we were recording 4 channels of brain activity, and now we're able to record 256 channels.
So from 4 to multiples.
Yeah, 30 years,
wow.
A significant change. And I thought when I first came to what was Walton Hospital in 1990, I thought the equipment we had there was phenomenal. And it was. But now I look back and think, wow, look how far we have come in, you know, a relatively short period of time. So always looking ahead, always thinking about what can we be using next to enable us to, I guess, reach a greater degree of patient's complexity. It never ceases to amaze me now where we are and where we're at.
Yeah.
And it's the reason that it's kept me here, to be honest, because that's what drives me forward, because I'm able to shape and influence the service that we've got. I can't see myself going anywhere else.
How does it impact a patient? How does neurophysiology help patients?
So I think if we just take epilepsy as an example, we're able to help patients who've maybe had their first event and for the consultant to understand whether that is epilepsy or not. So just at that very simple level, we're able to provide key information. And then moving on from that, maybe patients are having more complex seizures and they need more long-term monitoring. So we're able to offer that either as a hospital admission or where possible in the patient's home. And I think that's another area where we've really pressed on in recent years. There is really no need for some of the more routine aspects of our test to be those taking place in the hospital when they can be perfectly recorded in the home setting.
So what used to be a hospital stay just to purely monitor can now be take this technology home with you, wear it, and we can see the feed whilst you're in the comfort of your own home, which must make a difference to the patient.
It absolutely does, because, you know, coming into hospital is intimidating enough anyway. Being admitted to hospital is another level. Being admitted to hospital and having electrodes applied to your scalp, again, it just becomes more and more intimidating at times. Maybe not for everybody, but, you know, I'm always keen that we remember for us, this is just a normal day in the office, as it were. Patients coming in through the door for a test where they're concerned about the diagnosis, they're concerned about the equipment, they're concerned about what this could mean for them in their life, work, family, etc. So I'm always keen that we kind of keep that at the forefront of our mind, that it can be scary. As much that can be done in a home setting can only be a good thing, and the technology is there to enable us to do it, so we've embraced it.
Fantastic. I can clearly hear how passionate you are about neurophysiology, but where do the challenges lie?
I think there's no doubt our work, and like many other services within the Walton Centre, we've seen an increase in complexity on a significant level.
Of a patient's condition?
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess because the technology enables us to see more complex patients, and so it continues. So I think certainly managing that challenge of complexity. I think attracting the calibre of staff that want to be driven by that complexity as well is no doubt, you know, an issue that other professions experience as well. And we're fortunate here that the mix of the team is just right. We've got people who want to be driven forward and want to look at more exciting opportunities, but it's certainly a challenge in getting such a highly specialised calibre of individual recruited and into the service.
And from previous experience with yourself and the department, I've noticed that you have a very good educational sort of pathway into the team, because like you said, like a lot of subject areas in the NHS, there can be a bit of a recruitment problem.
Yeah, definitely. So I think certainly from the healthcare science training programme, we've been very engaged with the undergraduate programme, the postgraduate, and now on a higher level doctorate programme as well. So these are the physiologists of the future. So that's where the focus has to be. But that has its challenge because, like all services here, we're busy. And so we have to find time to invest and support and clinically supervise. Again, talking about healthcare scientists, we've gone out to schools and colleges to sell the fact that here we are, there are many, many other disciplines within the health service that students may not have even considered that can offer a full and rewarding career. I mean, here I still am, so it works. In more recent years, we have managed to have those successes where I think we are now starting to see individuals who say, that's what I want to be. I want to be a neurophysiologist. So we're getting there. There's more work to do. But yeah, absolutely. We've got to be getting out to the kids who are excited by science, that they're 9, they're 10. They're just in those early years of understanding. There's so much out there.
What's the most rewarding part of your job?
Oh, I think without a doubt, the fact that I can have an ability to shape and steer where we're going. That's what keeps me
The service.
here. Absolutely, yeah. So having an ability to influence and still being excited and interested by a case that's occurred this morning, for example. I love that. I mean, I'm not working clinically anymore. Obviously, that's not within the remit of my role, but I still keep my clinical knowledge alive. And I love popping into the telemetry room, for example, and suddenly there's a case that everyone's gathered around looking at. Yeah. And I love being a part of that. It still excites me to see that. And I think back to my boss back in 1987, and she had that too. And I think, yeah, it can continue. So, yeah, the answer is being able to influence and shape the future.
Okay, we're going to do a quick fire round now, Caroline. Are you ready?
I am absolutely ready.
So what would you be if you weren't in neurophysiology?
I'd love to work in John Lewis. I just love everything about it.
Big department
I don't think
store.
There's a role for a neurophysiologist there, but I love stylish department stores.
What's your biggest hobby?
Coaching at the gym, health and fitness. I kind of have this drive that maybe I'll be able to completely transform myself in just a matter of time, but I like to not be static and standing still.
Favourite book?
I've read in the last year the 3 books from Richard Osman. None of my reading is heavy, I'm going to admit that. I'm not, my children read much more deep and meaningful books than I do, but there's something about the way he writes that is so clever, and you've got those characters and we're sitting right in front of you. So yeah, I'm going to shout out to Richard Osman for his book.
Favourite film?
I am rubbish about films.
No?
Rubbish in the sense that I fall asleep a lot. If I'm not, once my popcorn is gone, then that I'm asleep.
Even in the cinema, you're just there.
Yeah, because the seats are really comfortable, and if you're lying back, my kids think that they've done well if I'm still awake 20 minutes.
Favourite animal?
Oh, a dog, absolutely a dog, because they just look at you and they understand everything.
Food you love?
Oh, food. Full stop. I think
food.
About food all the time. Last night I was preparing my breakfast and my lunch, and I'm just always
thinking about the next meal.
Planning ahead. I mean, I know that whole death row meal, what you're going to have. I don't know I know what mine would be.
Go on, look.
So it would be chips, curry and rice. Absolutely. I love all of the carbs in that, and
the classic northern chippy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love nice restaurants, but chips, curry and rice, can't beat it.
What about the food you hate?
Mint sauce, mustard. I can't bear the smell of it. I can't bear how it looks. I mean, I don't eat meat anyway, so maybe the lamb and mint sauce is a complete no-no. So it's, certain sauces that just have that aroma to them that, no.
What's the best thing to happen to you?
I'm going to say, that failure that we spoke about at the start, it took me in this direction. So the best thing that happened to me, with the exception of my gorgeous kids, I'd say was the fact that I ended up with a career that I hadn't intended to get into.
Amazing. Who's your hero?
Oh, my mum, without a doubt.
It's a popular answer.
It is a popular answer, and she's independent, motivated, and she juggled a fair amount over the years, and I think, wow, go you. She's pretty good. And
finally, something very few people know about you. Probably that you fall asleep in the cinema.
Well, that would be a good one, wouldn't it? Then, yeah, don't take me to see a film unless it's really exciting, in which case I'll stay awake.
Are there any milestones that stand out to you?
Yeah, I think so. So I remember the day when we moved from paper recordings to digital. I mean, oh my word.
Oh wow! So like ticker tape coming out of a machine was
absolutely.
what? Right,
I mean,
wow,
so these were big A3 size continuous reams of paper.
With a little pen that
was. You see it.
Yeah.
See it all on the sci-fi films. It's still out there. How we managed to still get patients coming through our door, I don't know, because you see us in some very unusual,
like a lie detector, or it's obviously
all
not
of
the
that,
same.
reading your brain, all kinds of craziness. Back to the Future,
of course.
You know, so I think we've gone some way to calm patients' nerves about what they may be having when they come in here. But yeah, in terms of milestones, moving from paper to digital, it's like, wow, this is quite a thing. But you know, looking back now, that was 20 odd years ago. I guess now we're looking at, around how AI can help us.
Really?
And there are a number of AI algorithms out there that may well be able to further support the work. For the first time ever, when I look ahead at the kit that we will be purchasing maybe over the next 12 months and beyond, it will definitely have very new technology within it. So I think there is some real game changing happening within our science profession. What we may be able to do in the future. Fundamentally, you know, I am a healthcare scientist, so I'm going to be biased in that we have very much embraced and looked at different ways of working from the staff as well. So we've pushed the boundaries, we've created new roles, we've looked at some of the responsibilities that our medical colleagues have got, and we've kind of bridged a gap, I guess, if you like. There is significant challenges in recruiting into the medical roles of consultant neurophysiologists. There just aren't many of them out there, and we have some of the best here in our team, but there is still a gap, and that gap has provided an opportunity for us, I guess, in that was where we've done the work. Let's think differently, outside of the box, and put some challenge in.
And it's really paid off by the sounds of it. You know, you've been able to diversify those roles in the team.
It absolutely has, and hopefully inspire. You know, we have trainees who are 18, they're like I were way back, and now I think they can see the full career span ahead of them here. And yeah, I love that. I think without that challenge, without that gap, I don't think we would have forged new roles.
So it's led you to being more innovative,
yes,
not only with the tech that you're providing to provide the service, but also in how you build the team and ensure its future.
Yeah, and I think that's most certainly been a real driver in retention here. And I don't mean that everyone has to stay here forever. Of course, I'd like to, but maybe not everyone wants to. And I love the fact that as you know, for those who are really working at a very high caliber of knowledge and skill, isn't it great that we've been able to keep them here and develop those roles?
You've already alluded to it about, you know, more remote monitoring and things like that. But where's the industry headed, do you think? And what excites you about where it's going?
I think what excites me is that we're certainly looking at being able to record more from the patient's home in maybe a less invasive way. You know, maybe looking back, some of the kit as being at the time phenomenal, and yet now maybe clunky.
Right.
So being able to record in a more seamless, comfortable way. Neurophysiology is a lot about leads and cables. You know,
there are a lot of cables.
There's a lot, and a lot that can be tangled. And so we're looking at far more streamlined kit.
Maybe wireless.
And wireless.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a lot there. The patients tolerate a lot, you know. They really do. I think for some of them, they've been on quite a long journey, and some of them may even have maybe thought that they've had a particular condition that they haven't, and so they're keen for answers, but they do tolerate a lot. And so being able to give them more comfort in what we're asking them to wear, I think is a big plus.
Could make a big difference. To the quality of their experience, I guess.
Well, they have to be able to sleep in this kit. You know, they're taking a lot home, and they've got to continue as normal. And so far as possible, if we can make that more comfortable, then it will feel more like a normal day, I guess. So yeah, I would hope that that's where we make some good progress over the next year or two. I've got some plans.
What kind of takeaways do you want people to take away from hearing you talk about neurophysiology?
Oh, that it's exciting. You know, it's dynamic, it's changing, it's moving. And yes, there are challenges, and it would be ridiculous for me to imply that this is all a breeze. Like other professions, you can hit brick walls, and we can have different stumbling points, but we're always moving forward. And I think sometimes even when you just look back over the past 12 months and you think, wow, okay, we managed to sort that. There are a few things that hang around that maybe don't move on, but in the main, being able to, a takeaway, I think that we move forward.
Thank you for listening to Neuro Stories. You can listen to more episodes on Spotify and stay up to date with the latest news and events from the hospital on our social media channels at the Walton Centre on Facebook and Instagram and at Walton Centre on X. Got feedback? Email the communications team at wcft.communications@nhs.net. This podcast was recorded, edited and hosted by Sam Fleet from the Walton Centre's communications team.